Welcome to my channel. Today we will be looking at HOA drama, where an HOA officer demands a woman leave her community garden not knowing that she runs the entire land. Be sure to watch until the end to see how this story ends. The comments in this one are spicy. Let's jump into it. Karen runs the local HOA. She knows most of the residents by name and has been living in the neighborhood for over 20 years. During that time, the neighborhood has changed a lot. New families have moved in and others have left, but Karen has always remained dedicated to her post. She takes her job seriously and is known for keeping the neighborhood pristine. As part of her duties, Karen regularly inspects properties to ensure compliance with the neighborhood's aesthetic guidelines. One day, while strolling through the neighborhood, Karen notices a new resident tending to a garden in her front yard. The garden was filled with fresh flowers and vegetables, but it wasn't maintained like the rest of the property. There were weeds growing around the edges and the grass was a little overgrown. Karen approaches the resident and introduces herself. She explains that she's from the HOA and that she's just checking up on the property to make sure everything is up to code. The resident, a young woman named Emma, smiles politely and assures Karen that she's doing her best. Karen can't help but feel disappointed. She knows that the neighborhood has a reputation for having beautiful gardens, and she doesn't want this new resident to become a black sheep. She points out the overgrown weeds and grass and tells Emma that she needs to tidy up the garden. Emma apologizes and says that she'll get right on it. But Karen isn't satisfied. She wants to make sure that Emma understands the importance of maintaining her property and keeping up with the neighborhood's standards. So she leaves Emma with a warning, telling her that she'll be back to inspect again soon. Emma watches Karen walk away and shakes her head. She understands that it's important to maintain her property, but she's also frustrated by Karen's attitude. She's been working hard to fix up the house and garden since she moved in, and she feels like Karen isn't giving her a chance. As the weeks go by, Karen makes several unannounced visits to Emma's house. She checks the garden every few days, looking for any sign of progress. But each time she visits, she's left disappointed. The weeds are still there, the grass is still overgrown, and Emma seems to have made little effort to improve the situation. Karen starts to wonder if Emma is even listening to her warnings. She's never seen a resident ignore the HOA's guidelines so blatantly, and she's starting to get angry. She decides that it's time to take action. Karen calls a meeting of the HOA board to discuss Emma's property. She presents her concerns about the overgrown garden and the negative impact it's having on the neighborhood's aesthetics. The other board members agree that something needs to be done, and they brainstorm a few options. They could send Emma another warning letter, but Karen doesn't think that will do any good. She's already given her plenty of chances, and Emma has done nothing. They could fine her, but Karen knows that won't solve the problem. Emma is new to the neighborhood, and she might not have the money to pay the fine. Plus, it would create bad tension between them. In the end, the board agrees to let Karen handle the situation in any way she sees fit. She's the most experienced board member, and they trust her judgment. So Karen comes up with a plan. She decides to pay Emma a surprise visit and give her an ultimatum. She'll give her one last chance to clean up the garden, or she'll take away her only means of getting food. This should motivate Emma to take action and finally fix the garden. Karen grabs her keys and heads to Emma's house. She walks into the garden and begins digging up the plants. Emma comes outside to see what's happening and demands that Karen stop. When Karen refuses, Emma calls the police. The officers arrive and ask what's going on. Emma explains that Karen is destroying her garden and she wants it to stop. The officers try to mediate the situation, but Karen is stubborn and refuses to back down. She tells the officers that Emma is violating the HOA's guidelines and she has the authority to enforce them. Just when it seems like things can't get any worse, Emma drops a bombshell. She tells the officers that she owns all of the land, including the neighborhood. It turns out that Emma is the new owner of the entire neighborhood. She recently purchased the community from the previous owner and didn't have time to inform everyone yet. Karen and the HOA officers are shocked. They had no idea that Emma owned the land, and they're horrified at the thought that they've been enforcing rules on someone who is their boss. They apologize profusely to Emma and promise that it will never happen again. But Emma is not interested in accepting their apologies. She's fed up with the HOA's constant meddling and she wants to take action. She fires Karen from her position on the HOA board and strips her of her power to enforce the community guidelines. Karen is devastated. She's lost her purpose in life and she doesn't know what to do with herself. She spends her days sitting on a park bench, watching the neighborhood children play. She used to be the one in charge of making sure the park was clean and safe, but now she's just a nobody. Meanwhile, Emma gets to work on improving the neighborhood. She invests money into fixing up the community center, and she hires landscapers to maintain the common areas. She also creates a new HOA board consisting of residents that she trusts to keep the neighborhood running smoothly. As the months go by, the neighborhood starts to thrive under Emma's leadership. The residents are happy with the improvements, and they appreciate Emma's hands-off approach to managing the community. She gives them the freedom to do as they please with their own property, while also ensuring that the neighborhood remains attractive and well-maintained. One day, Karen is sitting in the park when she hears a familiar voice. She turns around and sees Emma walking towards her. Karen is nervous, but Emma's expression is friendly and she's holding 2 cups of coffee. She asks Karen if she would like a cup and then sits down on the bench next to her. Karen hesitates for a moment but eventually accepts the coffee. She knows that Emma has the power to make her life miserable, and she doesn't want to risk angering her. Emma takes a sip of her coffee and then turns to Karen. She explains that she wanted to talk to Karen because she wanted to apologize for how she treated her when she first moved in. Emma admits that she was stressed and overwhelmed when she moved into the neighborhood and that she took it out on Karen. She understands that Karen was just doing her job, and she regrets not being more understanding. Emma extends her hand to Karen and asks for her forgiveness. Karen is taken aback by Emma's sincerity. She had no idea that Emma was going through so much and she feels bad for judging her so quickly. She accepts Emma's apology and they spend the afternoon talking and getting to know each other. As the sun sets, Emma stands up and thanks Karen for the coffee. She says that she enjoyed getting to know Karen better and she hopes that they can become friends. Karen smiles and says that she would like that very much. From that day forward, Karen and Emma become fast friends. Karen learns that being an HOA officer isn't everything it's cracked up to be, and she's happy to finally have some free time. Emma appreciates Karen's friendship, and she's grateful that Karen forgives her for her past mistakes. And that's the end of our story. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.